The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host, and tonight's guest is Max Bendich. Hi, Pop.
Hi, my son. How are you?
Good. So
I'm fine.
You're doing good?
What you see is what you get. Here I
Okay.
am.
Well, I didn't tell you about this, but recently I got a new job, and I'm now the finance director for an organization called Legal Services NYC. And what they do is they're like the Legal Aid Society. It's almost like a sister organization to it, and they help people who live in poverty up to 200% of poverty. So, I found out just recently that the poverty line for a family of four, could you imagine, is $24,000 a year in New York City. How could you live for $24,000 for a family of four? So what we do is we provide services, let's say in that instance, up to $48,000, 200% of the poverty line. And what we do is, it's not any crimes or that kind of legal assistance. It's more like making sure that people could stay in their homes, that they're not evicted. Sort of like what you did, or your father did in the old days, where people would be evicted, they'd bring the stuff back into the house. These people, but they help the mayor of all things. We help the mayor of New York City in his hopes to keep the homeless people, to keep from rising. In other words, to keep the homeless amount of people from rising, to at least keep it where it is and maybe make it less.
Oh, less.
Right. And we get funded by the city, we get funded by the state and federal, and it's about it's a big organization. I won't get into their budget, but it's a noble. We have about 400 employees. At least 300, maybe more, are attorneys and paralegals, and that's my new job. I'm their finance director.
And this I don't understand, funding.
Yeah.
To be funded, they have to know about you, almost everything about your
Well, the funding, we already have a range of relationships with the city. The city knows what we do, and we're providing a service. Basically, the reason why we get funded by the city is because we're providing a service for people who can't afford it. And it's beneficial because it's very expensive for people to go into shelters, very expensive. So it's even cheaper and better for the city for people to stay in their homes. So what we do is we help them try to figure out a way to stay in their homes. And it's a bunch of progressive people. So I mean, it's a good thing. It's really helping, and it's all in all 5 boroughs. It's a gigantic organization, and that's my new job.
And how does the city get the amount of money that is needed? Look, we have to have this.
Well, they realize that. Let's say if they don't give us that, whatever the amount is, it's going to be that plus and more if the people become homeless. So it's much cheaper to give us this money. I mean, it's an investment because it does so many things. It keeps families together. It keeps families in the home. It does all it's all those important things.
Now, does the city realize that?
Yeah, that's why they do it.
No, and they're working with you because you're showing them this is how it's going to cost.
They work with us and the Legal Aid Society primarily. We're the two biggest, but I think we are the biggest organization doing this in the city. And we do a great job, and we have good relationships with all the government funders, and it's tough though. I mean, there's a lot of work to do, and it's a different kind of accounting for me. Before I used to do not-for-profit accounting, but it was for private funders. Like we would get money from donations, and we'd get money from our annual benefit. Now, and we were able to do something called allocations based on not as strict as attorneys. Like with attorneys, we have to do it actually to the hour, how much hours, it's like billing. It's like we're really like a legal firm in a way, helping people, stay in their homes and things like that. So it's like a legal firm, and all legal firms, they manage their time specifically, and you have to say, okay, 10 hours or 5 hours or 3 hours go to this fund, 3 hours go to this fund, or this amount of cases go here, and this amount of cases go there. I think Al, your cousin Al, would have enjoyed this. I know Judy Bendich. I told her about this, and she's excited. And that's Arnie's wife, and she was the president of I think on the West Coast of the ACLU, and she's an attorney.
Yeah, before.
Yeah, now she's retired. But Arnie's wife, I spoke to her about the job, and she wished me luck. And that's it. So I'm there about a month, and
when I hear that, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because again, I can't get in touch with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know them.
Right.
All I know is I knew her, she and
Arnie.
She and Arnie were together as teenagers when
I know.
I
just remember their marriage. We went to this. It wasn't in those days. Aaron didn't. Your brother Aaron, the famous doctor, didn't have like these big weddings, like big receptions. It was at a restaurant, and Arnie and Judy came to the restaurant, I think, in sandals and jeans, and that was how they got married. They were like kind of hippies, And now he's like I guess he's the chairman of the botany department at University of Washington in Seattle, and she's retired. She just recently retired.
How about when you look at Mom and my marriage? What do you see there?
I know, you see a suit and tie, and it's nice, fancy schmancy.
We're all standing together, and we're getting married. No more of these kind of weddings.
But it was beautiful. I mean, you guys, it was a beautiful picture. We used to put the pictures up. That picture, I think the person who has those pictures is Kim. Someone has those pictures.
Right.
But at least it's in the family. But the pictures of you and Mom getting married are great pictures. And but what can I say?
Rabbi, standing there, Rabbi,
have some water.
Being happy,
Right.
and
life is good.
And Alan, luck. The whole thing I told you, luck.
And it's great. The other thing that's it's a union shop. When I worked at Workman Circle, the clerical staff were union. But now in this organization, the attorneys are union. So we have they have a very strong union, and it's interesting, So we have labor relations that we deal with, and our clerical staff are also union. So it's a totally different, and our management. So I tell everybody about our background, about how your father was union and all this stuff, But it's a different atmosphere. It's good.
That's good. And by luck, you got into the right one.
Yeah.
Again, Alan, I say we're lucky. We're a lucky family.
Right.
We did. How did it happen? I don't know.
Right.
I'm glad that it did. I'm glad that it did happen. But when you think about the 20s and 30s and 40s,
right,
and you try to compare them today, and then you have to worry. Look here, I'm over 100.
right.
What is the next? Can you look how you couldn't even science fiction couldn't do what's happening today.
Right.
100 years from now, what's going to happen?
Who knows? But
that's what I'm trying to say.
Who knows? But the thing is, as long as the food is good, and the whole thing is, you hear all this stuff about GMOs and all this stuff. Oh. Who knows what's in the food? But I think they're saying, why not be able to live longer, right?
You just brought up something that I was reading today in the New York. No kidding, the New York Times.
Yeah.
About drinking soda water.
Right.
Soda water is the biggest poison in the world.
Just seltzer or soda?
Soda, like Coca, and they mentioned.
Well, how about seltzer? You said soda water. You're saying soda.
No, seltzer is
right.
We're talking about 13 spoons.
Oh yeah, how much sugar is in it?
How much sugar? The whole thing was sugar.
Right.
And
sugar's a killer.
And
that's it.
We just talked about it.
Yeah.
Here I read it in today's time.
Right.
It's called science fiction, science, whatever it is.
Right.
And they would say, every now and then I get something good out of it.
Right.
And I know one thing: I don't drink soda.
So if you want to last to be over 100 years old, stop drinking soda, right? But you drink soda every now and then.
Now and then. I'm not talking about from what they say.
Yeah.
There's so much again.
And so much sugar.
So much sugar. Not only in soda, in vegetables, and in this, and
a lot of salt and sugar and all this other stuff.
And they say people don't realize that.
Right.
But that's what that adds up also.
Yeah.
And And we have come to this age, we're lucky.
But yeah, but you, I don't know, you never looked at, when we were growing up, you never really were concentrating. One thing you did do, you had vitamins. When I remember there was always vitamins, and there was always wheat germ. You always had wheat germ.
Hey, Alan, right? So what do I have now?
What?
Plain wheat bran.
Yeah. No, but you used to have wheat germ. I remember Kretschmer's wheat germ. Have some more water. Kretschmer.
Kretschmer was
The best.
No, you know, everybody knew it. The same thing as in bread.
Right.
Bread, Pechter's bread. It was,
Right, I remember that, yeah.
Even though we lived on 141st Street, and I think either the Bond or there was another white bread factory.
Wonder.
I think it might have been a few blocks away, and you could get it the next day for a fraction of
Right. They still do that, you know. I mean, you could still get the day-old bread. But, yeah, but I mean, we were always, one thing, I mean, when we grew up, Mom always had vegetables, and she'd throw them in a pressure cooker. So she would take onions and turnips and carrots and a chicken and just put it in the pressure cooker with water, and it was the best thing in the world.
And from Mom, I learned how to do it.
Right.
And we actually had two, Alan, from the time I think we were almost married. The first thing we bought was a pressure cooker.
Right.
And
I just remember hearing that thing on top of the pressure cooker that would be jiggling. And you'd have to do it for 15 minutes. You have to turn down the heat, but just make sure it kept on cooking. And Mom used to make everything in the pressure cooker.
Again, we talked about it. How come, and we asked that same question at that time, how come that we liked what we were doing at that time compared to my friends, compared to Mom?
Well, you know what? I think maybe, you know, I'll put it this way. When I was growing up, I didn't like it so much. But when I look back at it, I loved it. So, I mean, the same thing, I think that's the way kids are. Like with Kara and Aaron, I think, you know, when they were younger, they were like embarrassed or whatever. They didn't, you know, ashamed, whatever it is. But now, as they get older, and, you know, you look back at those times fondly, even though at the time, you know, you're trying to compare yourself to the other kids. So, but it was good. The food was good. There was no question. Mom made good food for us, and lots of it. Lots of it.
Now try to remember. You know, you brought up the food thing.
Yeah.
So you go into the butcher shop, a kosher butcher.
Yeah.
And what does usually a woman, when she buys a little chicken or what? No, chicken. There was a chicken market.
Right.
There's some flanking or things, and then she'd stop. What would she ask for the butcher?
I don't know. I know that's before my time. I don't know.
Right.
I never went to a butcher.
All right. And she say, and by the way, did you get any liver for the cat?
Oh, okay.
The liver they would throw out, Alan.
Really?
They threw out the liver.
Right.
And the people decided, and the butcher knew what they were doing.
They were eating the liver.
They were and they got liver for the cat.
Right.
And
that's it.
That,
I know.
Things like that, and
you think, and those are fond memories, because no one, honestly, if you don't mention it now because you're 100 years old, no one knows, because it'll be those kind of things, they just disappear.
No.
A lot of things about history just disappear. You know, I mean, you go to Fordham Road now, right? And Fordham Road is like a totally different road. There's no Alexanders, there's no Floorshines, or whatever. All those places, there's no RKO Fordham anymore. You go there, it's all gone.
But I walk.
Yeah.
And I'm in Kitay House,
Right.
which is about a half a mile or a little more from Fordham Road.
Right.
And I walk there, right down there. I'll even tell you one thing. I fell one time. I actually, I didn't.
Recently, or?
I'm walking, boom, face down on University Avenue. Wait.
This summer?
And I'm lying in the middle of, not near the curb.
God, just get me scared.
And it's no, wait. It was my walking.
Yeah.
I couldn't get up.
Yeah.
The bus driver comes out, lifts me up, and just by luck, are you hurt? No, I'm shocked. There was a place to sit down. Alan, I went to Fordham Road, and either you or Miriam or David gave me a bawling out.
Right.
don't go there anymore. I said, what's the matter? I said, I'm the only white guy there.
Right.
Everything else, they're all Spanish. Once upon a time, it was all Jewish.
Well, yeah,
And
it's a different neighborhood.
And it changed. Most of it changed to Spanish.
Right.
Now, something else about the Spanish.
Yes.
I love it for the best. They talk Spanish.
Right.
And when my parents came here, they were told on the day they came from the relatives, don't talk Yiddish.
Yeah. Talk English.
English.
Right.
No, now really.
I know.
Look
I know.
at the difference.
I know now because they, instead of telling people to assimilate, but I think to a certain, whatever. I'm not going to get into that conversation. But in those days, even when I was growing up, the whole thing was about assimilation. To be that no one, instead of differences, everyone should be the same. Whereas now, I think people appreciate differences more, and part of differences is being able to keep your cultural identity, I guess. So
And that's today, by luck, I was riding with your son, my wonderful grandson, and we were singing songs. How? Or we hit a record player or something, whatever it was on the.
No, it was on his phone. It was on his phone.
And we listening to songs that we forgot about.
Right.
Alan, and
I know.
and every now and then, believe me, when I come to this attitude, life is good.
Well, he does it because of you. There's no way he would have been involved in this stuff. And he talks about it. His only exposure to these Yiddish songs are through you. And so he's doing what I used to do, trying to please you. No, but he's living his life. No, he's living his life, and you're a big influence in his life. That's basically what it is.
But when you hear Alan, how did it happen? I'm serious. When I'm with her, I'm with her from 95. Oh, so there are one or two people in the 70s, and I actually.
You're talking about at Kittay House?
Yes, in Kittay House.
Right.
When we were in Kittay House, and I told them, why are you here?
Right.
You have nothing.
Well, you had to have been there actually in 90. You had to be about 93, because Mom died in 2009. So that's 6 years ago. So 6 years ago you were 94, and you were probably there a year or two before Mommy died. So you had to be there probably around 93. I think you got into Kittay House, and you're 100 now. So you're probably there about 7 years already, which is hard to believe. It can't be more.
I know, but whatever it is.
It can't be more than 7 years.
And so far,
maybe 8 years the most.
So far, when I compare again, I'm not. Maybe I should bring. I'm not. Why is it happening to me?
Right.
Everything is good, Alan. Can you imagine saying to them, everything is good?
I think it's just you were put together that way, and no matter how many times between getting shot and having other health issues throughout, you bounce back. So.
And I tell I don't keep that as a secret. I say, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. But there are two kinds of Alan. This is how good luck and bad luck. And the bad luck, even though I had two possibilities of
dying,
finishing,
I
overcame them. And the most important one was that here I'm looking out of a window, and people are walking around and everything else, and I should have been dead, but I wasn't. And Alan,
I think about that day. I still think, and I talk about it every now and then, because when I get a new job, I tell them all the new stories. I tell them about Hollywood and all this stuff. But I told some of them that we're going to do this show tonight, and I told them, my dad's 100 years old. They look at me, then they start wondering how old am I? But and it is interesting, to start a new job at 60. It's interesting, that
I started a new job at 98, 97.
Oh, that's true. You're acting.
And
the other thing about the acting, the reason why we're doing scriptless, which we talked about in the last episode, the main reason why I put scriptless together was to make sure that you had a show to work on without auditioning, because I was schlepping you all over the place to audition. But I think, you're doing a great job, and you're comfortable with all these people.
I'm comfortable. Why? Again, I want them to see a guy that was a normal 100-year-old guy.
But, I'll tell you what happened, really. What happens is we found out finally, after probably a year of shooting scriptless, maybe a little less, that when I was directing you, you would always look at me.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
would always say, is that good? So we came up with the idea, I don't know who said it. It might have been Jim. If I direct you, I have to direct you from behind. And now, or I'm not, I'm looking, but you can't see me in a spot. And without me being on the set, you do a fantastic job. As soon as I'm on the set, you're looking at me like this. You look at.
I don't really, but Alan, a few times you told it,
Yeah.
why are you looking at me? Maybe I'm looking and I don't even see you.
Right. But one thing you don't do, which is good, you never look at the camera, which to me is perfect. We have some actors that look at the camera, and that's, and these are new actors usually, and I have to tell them, don't look at the camera. The camera, I mean, this isn't a talk show where you can look at the camera. There's a talk,
And if you remember the time when I was with Baldwin.
Steve Baldwin.
And I came over to him.
Yes.
And again, I noticed one thing, like you say, I noticed they're shooting the camera this way,
Right.
and I'm walking this way, but I'm not looking at them.
It was perfect.
And why? I remember what you don't look at.
By the way, the guy who was helping you, the producer guy that
Yes.
pushed you, and he was a nice guy. You liked him.
Alan, he liked me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have him on the show.
I could. He actually.
I know he thinks you're a great guy, and I'm
liked
thinking
me.
about having him on the
And
show.
all of a sudden he says, "They're rolling."
And you're
Alan,
scared to death.
I never was more scared because you told me two words.
Yeah. Dead air.
Dead air.
But that whole scene was dead air. So
No, but dead air. And here, how did we do it? This name was supposed to be jumping up and down and everything, and I came over to him and saying, "Look, mister, are you okay?" And then when he answers yes, and I say, "You can prove it by me."
You could have fooled me.
And you could have.
And that's the same line that you screwed up on. Yeah, could have fooled me.
You could have fooled me,
Right.
and
I know, but you did it slow.
when I came over there, this guy is sitting there,
Right.
doesn't say a word, dead air, and I said to myself, "I'm dead. I'm going to take my cues from him."
Right. If he takes it slow, you were going to take it slow.
And
Have
and Alan,
Yeah.
it worked.
I know.
And really, but look, and then after I said again,
You could have fooled
me.
Right.
I walked slow, turned around.
With
and
the
I know
umbrella,
that- and
you
I
had
know
an-
at that time they were shooting the.
Right.
And I
You looked the
walked
other way.
right by them.
It was
looked
perfect.
over
And
there.
they said, cut, and it was great. You did a great
Okay,
it was
it's only
great.
because again, do not look at the camera.
Right.
And very seldom, and I look at Alan,
Yeah.
I look at the world of movie when I see any kind of a picture, moving
Right.
picture, TV, differently now. Really differently. You have to know the atmosphere takes you what you want to do, and this they have to take you what to do,
Yeah.
and
It's-
everything.
yeah, and even, I always talk about that, with Jim Kazak, right? Our editor and my partner in crime of Scriptless. We talk about how we look at movies differently now too, and he looks, and now that he's editing and I'm with him when he edits and we see how we do things. I mean, some of these shows, you look at even things like Law and Order. There's some quick edits that don't look, sometimes they're not as smooth as you wouldn't notice it unless you're an editor. Like you see these things and say, wait a second, that, it's not as smooth.
No, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Again, even though you don't know why, it ends up because there's an editor eventually.
Yeah.
He has it, so he keeps it this way and he keeps it that way.
Right. It's fascinating. And really, the editor is like this, almost like the person who's really responsible for the story. Because it depends on how he puts it together, how the story goes. You could take two different editors and the show would be different, or it would seem, especially scriptless, because there's really no specific lines that you have to make sure are there. There's just a story that you have to follow. And there have been a couple of times where we changed the story in editing because there were some bad shots that we couldn't include in the show. So we just wound up going from, instead of going from this scene to this scene, we went from this scene to this scene, leaving out that scene.
Leaving.
And it still comes out good.
And that's what from just what you said,
Yeah.
and that's what I started to realize, even though we don't, that when I see different things, you see this,
Yes.
you see this as someone, but in the sense it's something else.
Okay.
And Alan, it's amazing. Alan,
Right.
well, look, it's a successful business.
Right. And our show itself is our show, we're up to our 9th episode, Pop. I mean, the first season is almost complete. I'm like, I'm ecstatic because it was just a dream. You know, I just got up one day and I said, you know, like, I just woke up in the morning and said, you know, why am I knocking my head against the wall auditioning? Why don't we just do a show? And I didn't know what I was doing. And again, Dina doesn't say this, but she said, you know, she suggested one way, or she asked the question, are you going to edit it? I mean, are you going to direct it? And I didn't even think about that. I thought I was going to get a director. I said, why not? You know, and I've been doing it ever since. And now Jim does it. You know, we do it together now. So it's been a great journey. And you know, and then when I'm watching it on TV, it looks like a real show. You know, it's crazy. It's nuts.
And going to keep on.
Keep on doing it. No, there's no stop.
And eventually, from scriptless,
What?
I heard someone talk something about a laundryman.
Yeah, well, we got the okay to do the movie The Laundryman. It's just a matter of, the problem with The Laundryman is that it's a period piece. So we'd have to get all the, you know, because you got shot in 1969. So in order for it to be realistic, we have to recreate 1969, and that's going to cost money. So we're going to have to figure out a way of raising money to film that. But we're going to be doing it, you know, we got the okay from LMC TV to do it. It's just a matter of, I don't want to just do it.
No, then
I want to do it in a right way, you know?
Please, definitely.
It's your story. So, I mean, we're going to do it. And Frankie already wrote this, you know, Frank Sinclair wrote the script. So it's just a matter now of figuring out the funding, you know, how to get the money necessary to do what we have to do. And that's something we're going to still work on. But that movie's going to be made eventually.
Eventually.
And you're not going anyplace, so you're going to be in it too. I'm planning that you're going to play your father, and I'm going to play you, and that's the goal, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So it should be interesting.
Did I ever tell you about again where I am? The lady asked a question. A very nice.
What's the question?
A person who's giving the lecture.
Okay, what did she say?
Look, believe it or not, before the mafia,
Yeah.
there were Jewish gangsters.
I know. That's it. I know. And you mentioned that before. We talked about
know
that on the show.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I'm wondering if my father was.
No, it wasn't your father who was the gangster.
My
It was-
father's brother, maybe.
No, you know who the gangster was? Not gangster, but it was Mom's father, who, you know, they used to make the bathtub
That's it.
gym and all that stuff. So it was Mom's, you know, and Mom's supposedly.
Don't leave Mom out.
I just remember hearing stories about how in the carriage that Mom was in, you know, there was also booze in the carriage.
Oh, definitely. There was always booze in there,
Yeah.
and it was made in a bathtub.
Right.
You know, they called it bathtub gin, but still, seriously,
Yeah.
all she would do is something like cut it. You know what I
Oh, you know what? That sounds almost like the situation that we're in right now, because just like she used to cut it, I'm going to have to cut it right now. You know why? There's only one thing left to say, Pop. That's a wrap. Good night, folks.